Hey, Paisanos, it's a me, Hamish.
And it's a me, David. And Hamish, I am the Luigi to your Mario in that I too am easily influenced in my emotions by what mushrooms I eat. And welcome everyone to Super Mario Moment.
Yes, this is the show where we marathon through every morsel of the Mario multiverse, and this season we are tackling every TV and film adaptation. Last week, we saw Mario's first foray into animation in the West with Saturday's Supercade, but this week we are traveling overseas to Mario's other country of origin, Japan, to discuss an anime for the first time, or as we like to call it in the industry, Japanimation.
Wow. It is the 80s. It is the 80s here, Hamish.
As we discuss Super Mario Bros. The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach, which was, believe it or not, released in theaters on the 20th of July, 1986.
I believe it, but wow. The ticket here got you 50 minutes, and a lot of it was some interstitials. I don't know that I would have felt great about a theater ticket for this, but I will tell you, this was phenomenal.
You enjoyed it?
I loved it.
Okay.
I loved it, Hamish.
I quite like it, but I've mentioned before that my two brothers had a video game movie podcast, Games on Film, and they trashed it. Well, I don't think they super trashed it. They actually are quite a positive one, but I think they found it a real slug. I saw it as 2 stars on their Letterboxd, and I was like, how dare. I mean, it's barely a film, but yeah. I had a good time.
I hung back on my Letterboxd. I just didn't, I wanted you to be surprised. This will be my first heart of 2026. Not a 5-star on a heart. Sorry, no. Sorry, Super Mario anime. Hey. But it did get to the height of the height. But this was fantastic. Very funny. Very funny film.
I think there's lots of interesting things to talk about this, not just from the quality of the film itself, but also it has interesting foreshadowing for, I think, the versions of these characters we know better today. And I think what's going to be interesting is going from this anime movie that clearly Nintendo was very close to, going back to the West and looking at stuff like the Super Show, which were much looser. And I think it would be really interesting feeling like we're going backwards and forwards in time. But before we talk about the movie, let's talk a little bit about 1986 and where we are in the Mario history.
We talked last time about Mario and Donkey Kong was like the central figure because that was the game that we had for us. But if we check in on Mario's day job, which is being, a video game character, there's not a ton for us to go through. Mario Bros was out, Super Mario Bros had dropped, the NES was starting to be everywhere. And a month prior to this film landing was the Super Mario Brothers 2, but I want to be very clear, we know it in the English-speaking world as The Lost Levels. And so this was not Super Mario Brothers 2 gay romp extravaganza, Doki Doki Panic. This is Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers, but more. And I there's so much in this film that comes from the Super Mario Brothers instruction booklet that I did feel like we got to say a game has finally come that set a little bit of this up. As you mentioned, it kind of influences the games to come, but it's cool to see how much came from the booklet itself.
Yeah, and I think there's a few interesting firsts in this. I'm going to talk a little bit at the end once we've talked about the film about certain things which feel more like foreshadowing or like coincidences. But this is actually the first time that Bowser talks and has a kind of personality. This is the first time that Luigi is depicted as kind of a distinct character as opposed to just a Mario recolor. And I think what I found so surprising about this film was how like on model everything looked. Like
genuinely,
it looks like it came out a week ago at times.
Yeah, there's some times that I'm like, ooh, what are we doing here? But like Bowser not only looks like Bowser, but he's sort of like, he already is the sort of goofy in love Bowser that I will know him to be forever.
Yeah, I mean, this feels very similar to Jack Black's Bowser that we'll meet at the end of the series. I was really surprised by that. But I want to highlight a couple of other Mario games that came out around this time. They are games in the vaguest sense. Um, First, I want to show you a game called All Night Nippon Super Mario Bros. So, All Night Nippon was a late night radio show featuring comedians, and as a special giveaway they released officially licensed mods of Mario Brothers featuring all the hosts. They are all Japanese comedians, but one of them is Takeshi Kitano, aka Beat Takeshi, aka Takeshi's Castle, and star of films like Battle Royale and Zatoichi. And they replace enemies and also like the toads at the ends of levels, and certain bushes are changed to be like microphones. It's very bizarre. And this is actually a mod of Mario Brothers 2,
Okay.
which you were just saying. So it's not only is it a promotional gift, it's like extremely hard, and as a result, extremely rare. So they only made enough for the competition, and it was a massively oversubscribed competition. I don't know how many exist, but you can watch it on YouTube.
Hamish, is this the origin point of Mii's? Is this the first time Mii's appear in the world?
Maybe. It is funny that they haven't been like stylized to look like Mario and Luigi at all, or
right?
Peach. It's just human caricatures. And also, as I mentioned, like, look at Luigi. He looks like a recolored Mario still at this point. So it was the designers of this movie that kind of said he should look a bit taller and lankier. And
yeah.
I find
this is also not my favorite Peach. If I'm looking closely, Peach has not hit the spa in a little while in this image.
No, but I am a fan of like this Bowser variant. I think they sometimes reference his color palette and stuff like Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
I love watching these characters like slowly form, like they're crawling out of the primordial soup. So that's one game I want to talk about. The second game, and these were both released for the Famicom disk system, like Mario Brothers 2, which is a kind of add-on using floppy disks. And the second one is called I Am a Teacher Super Mario Sweater. And this game is actually a knitting pattern designing software released for the Famicom disk system that allows you to make Mario sweaters.
Wow. I wasn't prepared for this in any way, shape, or form, and I don't know how any person could be. The game essentially shows you where you're going to do certain stitches on your pattern so that you can recreate pixel art in fabric form. God, I wish I had this. I this would have been perfect.
Not only do I want this game, I want to know if there's any of these sweaters like existing in like Japanese thrift stores, like sort of off model, because there's other designs. You could do Peach, you could do Bowser, you could do various enemies, but it is a fun moment of them realizing like pixel art and knitting patterns are basically the same. So that's essentially what's going on in the world of Mario. Two mega hit games, one considered one of the hardest games of all time and not released in the West, and a bunch of other kind of tie-ins and promotions. We are definitely at the peak of the first wave of Mario Mania in Japan. And obviously a movie was to follow. David.
Hamish.
Had you ever heard of this film before today?
I had not, and to my detriment, because every second I drew breath until watching this film was a life wasted. I had never heard of this. I don't think I've even seen screen caps of it, which is wild, because as we talk, there are some very capable moments that I hope we share on socials. I think there, at one point in time, Peach says, I'm so sad I have to dress up. And why haven't I seen that 100 times? And like, that's like Peach's gameplay. Like, that's how she goes through the world. And it's here in this 86 anime. I think this is lovingly created. And I think if you are a fan of Super Mario Brothers, you should absolutely watch this film.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get into it in a minute. This was considered very rare, not lost like a lot of Saturday Supercade, but it has only recently, I think, become as well known in the fandom as it has been. At least to Japanese audiences at the time, they probably knew about it, but we were shut out of everything Mario Brothers 2 in the West. So it's definitely a new fave for a lot of people. Let's get into a little bit of how this came to be.
Yeah.
As I said, Mario was a massive hit and a film seemed somewhat inevitable. This movie was commissioned as a promotional thing for Mario Brothers 2.
Okay.
Which was a hit, but even Nintendo knew that it kind of wasn't what people were looking for. And while making Mario Brothers 2, they instantly started working on Mario Brothers 3, realizing we need new graphics, we need new stuff. We can't just keep giving people Mario Brothers 1 again. Obviously, this is a film that's basically 50 minutes. So what does that mean? It was released as a double bill with a video guide to Mario Brothers 2.
No.
So
a commercial, like legitimately, like a commercial.
A commercial, but I couldn't find this anywhere. It was very hard to search for anyway because I'm searching for like guides to Mario Brothers 2. No, the Japanese one. No, the one released in cinemas. I couldn't find it anywhere. I don't know if it exists, but they described it as a guide, possibly because Mario Brothers 2 or the Lost Levels is sort of infamous for some of those like Mario Maker troll type moments. There's things where you can't really progress unless you know there's like an invisible block somewhere or whatever. And I think that's intentional, and it's to get people like talking of like, how do you get past that level? So I don't know. This is purely speculation. I think this guide might have given a little secret here and there. But the film was made by the Grouper Productions animation studio. They lasted about 10 years and were mostly a studio that made Sanrio animations.
Okay.
So if you look at their filmography, it's mostly Hello Kitty and those characters. They also did subcontract work for various other film productions, most notably the 80s Kimba the White Lion show, which is very famous in Japan for its own right. In the West, mostly known as its connection, whether true or not, to the Lion King. And it was distributed by Shoshiku, one of the big four studios in Japan. And in Japan, the studios own the theaters. So this was only released in their theaters.
Sure.
So it was only released in 200 theaters. But I think that's not a big deal. Like it doesn't, it's that I think that's fairly normal.
Yeah. I think we actually are a little bit weird in the States and the UK about expecting everything to be in every cinema all the time. Even places that have independent cinemas, I know, because I used to date a guy who worked at one. People would come in and be like, I'd like to see the Avengers. And he's like, no, we do like small art films. Like you can't watch the Avengers here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole thing about the studio. Like originally, studios did own the cinemas in the States, and that was considered a problem, and that went away. But now we're at a point where like the studio system might have been what was holding everything together. And some studios still kind of own cinemas. There's like an official Netflix cinema. Blah blah blah. So the Grouper Productions company presumably got the gig because they were already animating a lot of Mario commercials and stuff for merchandise and tie-in food. As I said, this was Mario Mania, so everything had Mario on. I'm going to show you some of the ads, and the things that seem very popular to put Mario's face on are telephone cards. So money you could like cards you could use to
call long distance or
Mario curry, Mario rice flavoring. If you've seen the movie, you won't be surprised to know Mario ramen exists. Mario watches, cameras, everything. I'm going to show you this short reel of their ads because they get progressively weirder.
Yes.
And you can see that, the animation is already there. So
I'm ready.
Here we go.
円のマリオふりかけ。今ならマリオのテレホンカードにマリオの腕時計、さらにマリオのカメラが合わせて毎週2000名様に当たります。今すぐピーチ姫を2枚送ってね。美味しい上に楽しい長谷園のスーパーマリオブラザーズふりかけ。
さあ、美味しいマリオカレーをマリオは食べられるか。やったー、長谷園のマリオカレー新発売。マリオ食べてる早くもマリオカレーを半分食べた。あと少しだ。やった、チャンピオン。長谷園のマリオカレープレゼントもすごい。
私はマリオ博士、ホログラムの権威だぞ。どうだ、マリオの光るテレフォンカード。これマリオのレインボー腕時計、そしてマリオの救急ロボ。ピーチ姫を2枚送ろう。毎週1500名様に当たるよ。マリオ博士の大発明、長谷園のマリオカレーとマリオふりかけ。
たちよ、よく聞け。今度はマリオのソーラー電卓、ホログラムテレフォンカード、文具潜水艦、ピーチ姫を2枚送れば毎月1500名様に当たる。長谷園のマリオカレーとマリオふりか
け。Hamish. Okay, so first of all, these were excellent. What an incredible collection. Some of the designs are very on model for the film. Some of them are very on model for like Mario.
Yeah.
And seeing them next to each other is a little funny.
Yeah, I couldn't get too much information about which order these came in and what year, blah, blah, blah. But some are definitely like ties in for the film. Yeah. I actually took one out, which is just the clip from the movie of them eating ramen.
Okay.
Which is was used as an ad. And then, yeah, it ends with a godly UFO Mario speaking to the children.
I love him. I wish he would come and solve our problems. Like, just show up, sell me a watch. I'm here for it. Sell me Peach phone cards. I love those. Sell me cigarette calculator. Not sure what the last thing was. Was a little confused on that one, but I here for all of it.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, this was heavily merchandised, and more so even than Saturday Supercade, this movie was an ad. I think a good ad, but it's an ad. And it had tie-in books, it had all kinds of stuff. A lot of this you can find floating around on eBay sometimes, but the film itself was very rare for a long time because it was released as a rental only, VHS and Betamax. And then the soundtrack, they only made 50 copies of.
Holy crap. Wow.
So it honestly was one of these things where for a long time you'd see like blurry stills for a long time. I might as well talk about this now. I was going to save it to the end, but the version we watched on YouTube is actually a kind of fan discovery. It was uploaded in 2021 by the YouTuber Carnival, who released it as like the raw 16mm film scan, and then a restoration group called Kineko Video came along and made it into this very beautiful like 4K restoration that was only released in 2022. So until then, I would see sometimes very blurry clips of it released from like Japanese YouTubers and stuff. But it's only kind of a recent salvage job. And subtitling as well is really good. And there has been like fan dubs and stuff. I was tempted to send you one of them, but I struggled a little bit with some of it.
This was the better choice. I think the subtitle work was excellent. The very limited Japanese I know was tracking with what I read.
Okay.
And so it wasn't, you know, sometimes I will hear spoken language and I'll read the subtitles and go, I know something is wrong here, but this didn't flag any of that for me.
The final kind of non-thing I wanted to discuss about something that's not genuinely this film is that sometimes this movie gets called the very first video game movie of all time. However, it is actually shared with another film which was released the same day.
No.
I think this is debatable because Mario, this is genuinely the first video game movie released in theaters, an adaptation of a game. However, on the very same day, a movie called Running Boy: Star Soldier's Secret was released. It is also an anime, but it's loose. It's a more of a kind of esports movie about a kid who is obsessed with this game, Star Soldier. He wants to be a video game designer when he grows up. It's almost like a film we are going to discuss later called The Wizard, but it's one of those like slice of life kind of animes that we don't do so much over here. It's just about a kid who wants to be good at this game called Star Soldier. But because it came out the same day, I think it has got this interesting double legacy. There were probably people who went to see both on the same day, because I think that was also barely an hour long, but probably playing at different cinemas. And I also couldn't find this like in full. I only could find clips and posters and stuff. But
it looks fun enough. It is funny that it's sort of a Deep Impact Armageddon situation here, where we're like, we've if they're going to release a Meteor movie, we have to release a Meteor movie, and that's great. You know what? Flood the market. More video game movies until that crashes, and then we don't see them for a while. Yeah. Okay. Cool. This is exciting. I love that this is happening there. That didn't look as good as what we watched. Because one of the people playing that game looked so bored. So I'm so glad that the Fred Savage character was into it, but the rest of them seemed kind of like, what is this Gradius game that I'm playing?
It does seem like, both of these are ads and they're different ways of doing it. They could have easily have made a movie about someone obsessed with playing Mario, and maybe Mario jumps out of the screen and then he talks to them, but they went for full-blown adaptation, although there is a little bit of interesting stuff about video games in there. So can I introduce you to some of the cast and crew?
Please do, because I don't know. I probably won't know a lot of the histories of these folks, but I was interested to see if they would cross over with other related interests that you and my friends have. Like, are we going to get a relationship to Godzilla? Will there be something Sentai in here? Just thinking about the years, will any of this end up crossing over? So I am excited, but I know nothing.
Cool. So yeah, we're part of the Glitterjaw network. We have shows about the X-Files, Godzilla, Simpsons, Spider-Man, Star Wars. So when I give people the full rundown of cast, I tend to highlight those properties, or anything that we all generally know. A lot of this cast and crew have worked on hundreds of things, so I'm not going to list everything. This was directed by Masami Hata. I'm going to say this about pretty much everyone. Extensive career directing many things, but he seems to be a Grouper Productions mainstay. He directed a lot of those Sanrio shorts. And he did a lot of work surrounding Osamu Tezuka's stuff. So that's Astro Boy, Princess Knight, 1 to 3. He also directed a trilogy of semi-soft porn, softcore porn films with Tezuka. I'm not going to show it on the screen. We've probably already been demonetized several times over, but if you Google Tezuka Cleopatra movie, maybe it has a truly insane poster that I can't believe is just out there. Wow. So a few of those. I've seen some people giving them negative reviews because they thought I thought this would be sexier. So it probably isn't as bad as it seems, but yeah, it's anime. It is what it is. But what I find quite interesting is that he seems to Hata, the director, started his career making things like Astro Boy and stuff. But he was very recently animating on the Netflix Pluto anime, which I don't know if you've heard of.
Only by reputation.
Yeah,
it good?
it's I really love the manga. The anime is great as well. It's a kind of gritty reimagining of Astro Boy, but it's
Okay.
better than that sounds. Hato was also the director of the TV show Stitch, which was the Japanese anime spin-off of the Lilo and Stitch franchise.
What? This is great. I would love to check that out.
Yeah, and I believe it's like oddly canon in amongst the other like animated Stitch shows. Like I
Yeah.
think one show ends with him saying, "I'm gonna go to Japan," and then he like comes back and blah blah blah. It was written by Hideo Takayashiki. Also written a bunch of anime. I think most interesting to us would be that he wrote the 2011 anime adaptation of X-Men, which I had never heard of. But had also written the anime adaptations of various famous manga like Barefoot Gen, Cat's Eye, Tomorrow's Joe. These are things you might not have read, but I think if you Google, you might have like recognized them. I've read them, but I haven't seen these adaptations. Some places say that Shigeru Miyamoto was credited as a co-writer. Some places haven't. I don't know if that's like an honorary, like,
oh sure,
I
made the character.
Yeah. He wrote the story. I don't really know. So it's now time to talk about Mario. Toru Furuya. Don't fall too much in love, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Oh,
so
bummer.
he's
I liked his voice. Oh, that's a bummer.
No, he's great, and he is probably the biggest name in this. He's done everything. He's been Amuro Ray, the lead in Gundam since the beginning.
Oh wow.
The lead in Saint Seiya since the beginning. He's also Yamcha from Dragon Ball. He's Tuxedo Mask from Sailor Moon. Countless stuff. He's done video games. He's also going to be the voice of Mario for a while. We might be seeing him again in a future episode. I have to say, he has been somewhat cancelled. He was found to be having an extramarital affair with a fan, and he admitted to pressuring her to have an abortion. And he says raising his hand at her, whatever that means. He said this himself, and he has been dropped from pretty much all these franchises.
Sure.
The only work he's had for the last couple of years has been on Gundam, which I think is like what he's best known for, and it's probably a tricky situation there. I don't really know. It's unfortunate. It does seem like he suffered the correct career punishment, I suppose.
Yeah.
But he's done everything. He was going to be a voice in Metaphor, which was like a big RPG from the makers of Persona, but all his lines were re-recorded before release. One of those situations. Imagine a bad person voicing Mario. Couldn't happen again.
Stop.
So Yu Mizushima is the voice of Luigi. Similarly, he's been everywhere. One thing I found fun about him is that he's the official dubbing voice for Matthew Perry.
Shit, really?
He did every episode of Friends, which I think is quite fun. And he was also the voice of Luke in the original Star Wars trilogy.
Oh, cool. Oh, wow.
He's also
legit dub work there.
Yeah. He's also the official dubbing voice of Sammo Hung. I don't know if you know him, but if you've ever watched a Jackie Chan movie and there's like a kind of chubby guy who's just as good at Kung Fu as him, that's him. And he's also the director of many Jackie Chan films.
Oh, fun.
Like with Saturday Supercade, the men are all these like biggest names ever in anime and animation ever, and then the women are like, this is their only role, which I find kind of strange. So Mami Yamase is the voice of Peach. She was a J-pop idol, and I think brought on more to do singing on the soundtrack.
I thought she was a good Peach. I was getting what I needed out of it.
Yeah, we actually had not talked about, how did you think, I mean, everything aside, Mario and Luigi, how did you find their performances?
I mean, I thought Mario was great because he gave me sort of the like put upon hero, and that was exactly what I needed from the character. The Luigi is so different than the Luigi that I will come to know, that I thought the performance was great. It just felt, the whole thing felt a little off to me, and it's because he was like half Luigi, half Wario, and they would later like divide.
No, I was thinking this constantly. Like, they're not evil, but
No.
they have more Wario and Waluigi traits than you would normally give like the squeaky clean Mario that we know now.
Yes.
And then Peach, I warmed to her. I think she's introduced squealing, and she like screams the same way over and over again, which I think is meant to be kind of like annoying a little bit, but she's very funny as we go on.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Bowser, King Koopa, Akiko Wada. Now, have you any idea who this might be?
No, not a clue at all.
Okay, so she is a very well-known kind of TV personality. She's in a lot of those like panel discussion things. There's like a role in Japanese pop culture of like, you go on panel shows. I recognized her. I don't know what from.
Okay.
But she's quite tall and has quite a gravelly voice, and has been given the nickname Yote, meaning Empress, because of how big and imposing she is. Now, she hasn't had that many acting roles. She is more known as a kind of singer personality type. But what gravelly voiced cartoon woman do you think she might have voiced in a certain movie adaptation of a long-running TV sitcom?
Oh my gosh, long running. I can't possibly think of anything. Gravelly voiced. Oh my god, is she Marge?
So she's Marge in the Simpsons movie, weirdly. A different person voices her in the TV show, but I think they got like celebrities,
bigger names for the film. Yeah.
So she's Marge. So Bowser is voiced by Marge.
Wow. Criminal that we don't have Derek here, because this is like custom made for Derek. I am obsessed with this.
Well,
also, casting a woman for Bowser is wild.
I know, and it makes the thing with Bowser and Peach, and I know it's tough because obviously him wanting to marry Peach and kidnap her, it's bad. But we kind of still love Bowser, and and I think the way to handle that is to make him as goofy and sort of innocent as possible. He is not like, it's tough. The second anything gets kind of lecherous or sexual, it's wrong. Like, to me, it's like he's a baby boy he wants a princess because no one loves him because he's a big ugly turtle.
You're absolutely right, Hamish. When I was growing up, I didn't have any siblings, but I had two cousins who were very close to my age, and we would hang out together, and we would play Mario Brothers and Zelda and all sorts of other things. And because of the heteronormative conditioning that we all receive, what we made as the reward is that my older cousin would give me a kiss on the cheek if I beat a level, because that's what boys get when they do things. And it was childlike and innocent, but even describing it now, it sounds terrible. I need Bowser to be like 6-year-old David. I need him to be like full of wonder, wanting to achieve something, but the only thing society has given to him to achieve is to get married. And so he's like, well, I'm going to get married, but I'm going to plan the wedding. I'm going to design the cake. I'm going to pick the groom's outfits. Like, this to me is just for fun.
We'll talk about it more. So much of who Bowser is established in this film, and Bowser's relationship to his like minions and things, which is like bizarrely consistent throughout all future things. I'll just highlight a couple more characters. I mean, I looked up every single voice actor in this. Okay. It was similar lists of like, they've been in this, Gundam, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to highlight 3 people. So Junko Hori, who voices the Lakitu, she is the voice of Bart Simpson. So I had to include that. But but she's also the dubbing voice for Gary Coleman or Arnold in Different Strokes, which I also thought was quite funny.
Gagged.
I mentioned Kohei Miyauchi, who is the like old mushroom hermit guy.
Yeah.
He's Master Roshi in Dragon Ball, so
That
you know,
checks.
a likely place to find him. And then the last person I want to mention, and this is a character we will talk about at the end of our film discussion, a certain Prince Haru. So he's Masami Kikuchi, and as well as being Joe in Digimon, he is the first voice actor for Sonic from the Sonic OVA. So
No way.
The concept that Mario basically gets cucked by Sonic in his first movie. I hate using those terms, but
that's what happens.
That is what happens, and it is quite funny that a Sonic appears in a movie with a Mario.
Yes, great, incredible. Very excited to talk that character in the end of the film.
Yeah. So, without further ado, let's chat.
Get into it. Let's talk about this movie.
Let's chat about this movie. You loved it. I'm so happy.
I loved it. It pretty much got me right from the jump. I do love this opening. I love that it's pre-credits. I love how much it sets up. I had no idea that what I was in for. I didn't know at first. It seems like the Illumination film, all of the baddies are coming into the real world, and then we sort of like dispense with that and we go into the video game. And I think that's fun. There's a lot of question marks about how things happen, but I don't need to know the answers to those. I found Peach to be instantly endearing. I found Bowser to be instantly hot, and I thought this was great. I thought this was really incredible.
Yeah, it's interesting again how in broad strokes this is similar to the Illumination film, but also just to me, when the Illumination film came out, a lot of people were like going, wait, Mario's from the real world? What's going on? And I feel like it's the secret normalization, standardization of Mario lore that we all know.
Yeah.
That like he needs to get to the Mushroom Kingdom somehow. I think it's interesting that there's this video game element. I saw some kind of descriptions of the film saying that he goes into the video game. He does, but also kind of doesn't.
Right.
He does go down a pipe, which is again how it should be.
How it should be.
But yeah, it's very strange. This opening is almost its own little mini film, or like commercial.
Well, it's almost like a short before the actual story gets going.
Yeah. It's the instruction booklet basically, and then like the rest of the movie's the game.
Yeah, exactly. Like here's some of the players. You need to go rescue the princess. Go.
Yeah. So we then get to Mario and Luigi working in a grocery store, which I think does throw a lot of people. When we talk about like this is such an accurate like foreshadowing. It's a bit weird that they then aren't the plumbers that we know.
No, they sell, I think, exclusively ingredients for cakes and other baking, and that's great. I think I love that for them.
I was a little thrown by how many, I think this is going to become standard as we go forward, but how many just like bouncing sound effects and things they were using constantly.
Yes, they went from, I'll say in general, there are a lot of uses of the game. We saw like the game over screen here during the like prologue, and it plays the sad music that you get when you die. I will say that maybe the first 5 to 20 bounce sounds, I was like, this is so endearing. This is perfect. And then I was like, okay, I get it. He makes noise when he jumps. I don't need any more of this. And makes noise when he jumps, Hamish, or is walking, but a type of jumping.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty relentless. I would also say like the music in general, I found that sometimes it was endearing to use the Mario music, and sometimes it felt like they didn't have anything else to use for a situation.
Yes. Yeah.
Like there was a lot of the kind of underground theme being used for like like action or tense situations, which just didn't feel right.
Well,
But
in one instance, and I wish I had written down the exact one, but one instance in which we're playing, you have 30 seconds to beat the level or you'll die music, the da-dun-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and it was kind of a calm scene, and I was like, this is not calm music. Like, this is urgent music, and we picked the wrong sound cue here.
I also want to talk about how in this first scene, or like this, when we meet them in the grocery store, and we see Mario and Luigi, and we've not really addressed that Luigi's not wearing any green, but I still like his color scheme.
I like it too. I mean, I did put on here, remind Hamish that I'm colorblind. What is Luigi's color palette?
Right.
So I know it's not, I know it's not Kelly green, the green that I will know of Luigi today. But I was like, is this partially green? Is it close? It looked purple, maybe, to me.
He's wearing like yellow,
Okay.
and then blue dungarees, I suppose.
Sure.
I don't think they'd really settled what he was going to be at this stage.
That's okay.
But what I think it makes up for is that he looks proportionally like Luigi should. Like,
Agreed.
they look distinct.
Agreed. Yes, these are not the same characters like they were in that promotional game that you showed us. This is a very different character from Mario. And I like that. I think the color helps make that very apparent, which is also cool. I like that he's kind of hapless when we first meet him too, because Mario's like trying to move the plot along. He's like, we've got to find out where this gem is. Luigi picks up the phone and calls directory assistance. This was my first giant guffaw, because that's just such a funny thing for Luigi to do.
I don't know, I found it endearing. I kind of found it weird that they were in this just desert world. I couldn't really work out straight away if they were in the Mushroom Kingdom or not. Because the worlds didn't seem that different.
Well, and they go through a pipe, and there is a transition sequence, but you know, it's a silver pipe, it's not a green pipe, and there's not like, it will not be the pipe travel that we do in 30 years. So I don't know, but I had a good enough time believing that we were now in a different world. And not for nothing, a little bit of that comes from this wizard who shows up.
Well, before we meet the wizard, we meet a dog.
Oh my god, I can't believe I was going to leave this dog out, Hamish. Oh my god.
Kibidango, I think his name is. He's sort of a dog. He's kind of more of a worm. And what I think is quite interesting is how much he looks like the Wiggler enemy from Mario World.
He looks identical to Wiggler. He is Wiggler. Yeah,
which makes me wonder, like, I couldn't find anything about like the art direction of this movie or like the design work, but I do wonder how present this movie was in people's minds when stuff like Mario World was being developed, and if the design language was just the same, because he looks so much like Wiggler that it's like spooky.
Yes, I mean, to the degree that I went to the Mario wiki and I was like, oh, is this the inspiration for Wiggler? And there, you have to go into this film's article all the way to the bottom and be like, the note. And listen, people who maintain Wikipedias and wikis across the world are the best people. So this is not a ding against you. But what was written there was like, it sort of resembles Wiggler. And I went, sort of? This is like an off-color Wiggler.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. I mean, I think Kibidango is, I think I'm pronouncing it wrong, but it's that Japanese like mochi on a stick treat.
Oh, well, that's what he looks like.
And that's what he looks like. And I don't know. I think some people find him a bit creepy and gross. I mean, it's weird because if this was made a few years later, that would probably just be Yoshi.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I quite like him, and I'm sort of sad he never came back.
Agreed. Mario needs more dog friends. I mean, we get Luigi's dog in Luigi's Mansion, like the little ghost dog. We get Poochie, which, okay, I've played enough Poochie levels in Yoshi's Island to hate Poochie. And we have Yoshi, who is, for all intents and purposes, a dog. But like, this is like a loyal dog. This is like an actual, I'm here as a canine companion to help you. And we don't really have that in the Mario world. And I think Kibidango could have been it. It could have been in the, but it can't now because it's a wiggler. So it would confuse me. You should be racing carts and being angry when I hop on you.
Yeah. I have more to say about this dog at the end, obviously.
Yes.
You mentioned this old wizard. I thought he looked like a Tove Jansson Moomin like drawing or something. This design does stand out in maybe a negative way.
Agreed. This is the only thing that I was like, this puzzle piece doesn't fit. And there is no surprise that I have never seen this design ever again in any of the games or any of the other media that we will end up talking about. I will say he does pull out the 1984 instruction booklet and just literally read it to us, which is wild. This whole thing about what they're turned into, that is literally word for word in the instruction booklet.
Yeah, and then he turns into mushrooms, I think, or just fades away.
Yeah, he does a lot of fading away, which is fine.
What I think is interesting about early Mario is they really lean more into like the magic of like Bowser and stuff than I think. Obviously, there's magic now, but it's much more like Tolkien-esque in like early Mario.
Yeah. Everyone can do everything, and later it has to be sub-relegated. Like Bowser has magic, but it's Kalic. Like it's all subjugated to one of my minions. My magic is very specific and peculiar. Here, everyone can do a little bit of it, and because the power-ups are so gameplay related, they have to give them like additional lore because Mario's quest is to go get a mushroom, a flower, and a star, and that's fun though. Those are good stakes for a hero movie.
Yeah, and they get given like it's like the flower of love and the mushroom of truth, and
they're a little goofy, but it's fine.
Yeah. I also think there's like a prophecy where they say like male twins will come. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, especially with the swing at the end of the film, like the prophecy. Maybe there are a lot of prophecies. This guy just talks a lot, so.
Yeah, it's also so as I've written my notes in a vaguely chronological order, and they start going on this mission, and I think this is possibly when a lot of people start to find this film a bit repetitive because there's a lot of walking sideways.
Yeah,
which, to be fair, is what you do in Mario. But there's a really bizarre moment where they walk past a casino.
Oh. And Luigi just goes and comes back with a giant bag of coins. My hero. Good job, Luigi. Go play that craps table.
This is when the like Wario Waluigi of it all makes me. It's like, who are these guys? They seem a little strange. So yeah, there's a lot of walking montages. My next note is Mario wearing a sombrero and shirtless hot? ?
Well, first of all, Mario in a sombrero, not shirtless, sadly, shows up in the title cards. He's one of the like lovingly drawn parts of the title cards. And then with the wizard, he randomly switches into what I can only describe as like a desperado version of Sombrero Mario. And then we get Sombrero Mario shirtless. And yes, the answer is yes, he's hot. We know this from Odyssey. But I was kind of stricken of how much this ends up looking like the Odyssey version of Sombrero Mario. All of them.
I mean, Odyssey does have a few deep cut like designs. I wouldn't be surprised if this was just taken from that because there's his like scientist look comes from a commercial. So it might just be like, I get the feeling like this is very officially part of like Mario in a way that Saturday Supercade definitely wasn't.
No.
So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was all related.
But it is wild to every costume change that the bros go for is kind of wild in this film. But I think the biggest one was when he was like shooting guns and had himself Rambo'd out with a sombrero.
Yeah. My next notes are because I think one thing that's quite interesting is that it is like a road movie. There's a scene of them starting a fire in a campsite. I've written a note where I think Luigi says, "How dare you steal someone's dream like that?"
Oh, incredible because Luigi's hungry. You see, Hamish. Luigi has two major character traits. He wants gold and he is hungry, which is why I'm getting so much Wario off of this.
He's very relatable.
Same, but he's mad at his brother for dreaming of eating food, and that also got a lot. I thought that was funny.
I think everything was like gently funny, and I found it amusing that every kind of enemy, like Mario enemy, wasn't just something to jump on, but each one had a kind of personality. And again, this is something that I think like later Mario RPGs established quite well. But it all seems to start here.
Yeah. Like the Goombas are sort of these trickster little people. They're a little Jesse and James per our conversation last week. The paratrooper who like kidnaps them, the Koopa paratrooper, and takes them to her nest to feed her children. I thought that was this is so precious. I don't think about baby paratroopers, and I should.
Yeah, and then we get this scene where they're eating mushrooms, and they're not good mushrooms. I've seen some people suggest that this is because the poison mushroom was introduced in Mario Brothers 2. I think it's just mushrooms.
I think it's just fun. I kind of expected them to pull out a poison mushroom as a reference to Mario 2, but instead him just eating sad mushrooms and then needing to get like funny mushrooms to balance the sadness and accidentally getting an angry mushroom. This was like just straight up like hilarity on screen. I don't this was like I don't know what to say. This was like vaudeville. It just seemed so goofy, and I was kind of here for the entire thing.
It's funny because there's nothing really about the game that tells you that this is comedy. Like, but I like that already from the start Nintendo knows that like this is a cartoon, this is stupid, let's
have fun.
Yeah. This is then when we meet Femboy Toad.
Literally my notes. Hamish, I said, Toad is so cute, so femme. Why did we lose this?
から解いてくださってありがとうございます。私はピーチ姫の次女のキノピオです。ピーチ姫の。さあ、みんなお礼を。マリオ様、どうぞこのスーパーキノコを持って行ってください。
これがあのパワールの。
I have no idea if this is meant to be female or male, but Toad like is both really tall and like lanky and emerges with like completely black eyes and like eyelashes and it's like, oh, thank you for rescuing me, Mario. I'm Toad.
I loved this Toad. This was the biggest shock for me was this femboy Toad, and I love them so much, so very much.
So I wrote the note femboy Toad. But did you get to the end of the credits?
No. Well, I mean, I listened to some music in the credits. Is that like how it is credited?
No. In the credits, I don't know if this is just from someone else making the same joke or whatever, but I was watching the credits and then there's like a flash up on screen of the restoration crew who made the 4K thing. And as well as all the names I mentioned earlier, the first name is Femboy Films Restores.
Well, yes. Okay. So I did see a little bit about this in the very, very limited research that I did. But if you type in Femboy Film Restoration, you do not get this now defunct group of people until like the 6th or 7th page. Okay. Because those search terms will lead you to other content.
But we highlighted when queer creators had touched the last thing we covered. I obviously have no confirmation on any of this, but it makes me laugh thinking that like people like us probably were involved in making this. Yeah. It would be great to track them down and maybe get them on the show.
Truly. Well, and there was a nice little write-up. Somebody did do an interview with them, but again, now I think that is sort of bygone. Even though this is somewhat recent, that Femboy Film Restorations is now going under a different name. It must be.
I'll have to check that out later. I'm writing a little note. Yeah. Okay. So we met Toad. I think this depiction of the Mushroom Kingdom itself is worth talking about because I think it's interesting that it isn't like slavish to the NES aesthetics in the way that I do think some of the Western cartoons end up being, where like they try and make it look like a video game.
Right.
This reminds me a lot more of have you ever seen this like 80s Wizard of Oz anime?
No.
Whole other podcast about that.
I'm just gonna take I'm gonna take a note on that right next to the other things I've noted.
But there's a type of like way that I find a lot of 80s anime depicts fantasy worlds where they're both like quite beautiful but also sort of barren wastelands.
Yes. Yeah.
It's quite unnerving.
But it's also sort of like how these stories are actually told. And that's because in narrative, you don't need to, I mean, we talked about Tolkien earlier, but like you don't need to describe every single step your character goes on. There are major moments. And I kind of like when an adaptation is like, there's nothing in between World 1 and World 2. Like it is just, it's so boring that we're not even going to draw anything. Like there's nothing for you to do until we get to the next set piece. I think that's nice.
Yeah. And obviously we sort of, I mean, I can see where criticism of this film come from, because it is just a series of like, they meet this enemy, they meet this enemy.
Yeah.
Are there any enemies in particular that you want to highlight and chat about?
I mean, I do really like the Goombas. I think they're cute. I think at one point in time later, they grow a hand to pull a lever. And that was like my favorite thing that's ever happened.
Yeah.
I always forget that Goombas are in fact mushrooms who turned on the rest of the Mushroom Kingdom. And that is why they are the enemies of you, the character.
Even the mushroom hand felt very mushroomy. Like it didn't actually seem that strange.
No.
And it's one of those things where, you know, I bet Nintendo wished they had established that earlier on.
Yeah. And I also kind of like that their idea of villainry is to be like, I'm going to give you bad directions to like a trap. That feels like the right speed for a Mario enemy. Like they could just bite and kill you as they do in the game, but instead they want to like set up this Rube Goldbergian device for you to like get eaten by a piranha plant. Speaking of, I did think the piranha plants looked good.
Yeah, they were successfly scary. I thought.
Yeah.
I thought in general, I kept kind of wondering about the size of all these enemies, because a lot of them, they changed, but they also all seem so big. But at the same time, if you look at the sprites, like a Goomba is the same size as Mario.
Yeah.
And like normal Mario. And he hasn't eaten the mushroom yet. So like they are sort of towering all over him. But it also made me think a lot about like the giant enemies we get in later games.
Yeah.
And actually, there's a few things, again, about these enemies that feel like they're not in the original game, but they're established here, like Lakitu or Lakitu or Lakitu, or I've never known how anyone pronounces it, but I pronounce Mario weirdly, so whatever. Like Mario steals their cloud, which is something you can't do until Mario Bros. 3 or World or whatever.
I think it might be World. It might be World that you finally get the cloud.
And again, I that's probably just like parallel thinking of like what we do, but the fact that it's in this movie and might have just been something that the creators of World thought Mario could do, I find so interesting. I thought that Lakitu had quite like Dexter's Lab or Bowser Jr. vibes. Like I kind of like them. And yeah, I think the Spinies were when I was started to think of like, these seem too big. To me,
those seem like Mario 3 Spinies. Like, oh no, we're in Big Little World, and like I can't get close to these things. But yeah, I mean, the Lakitu section, Lakitu looked so good that I was really here for it. But that is a section that dragged a little bit because we had to do all these weather and climate changes, and Luigi and the cutest dog ever are like, we're in mortal danger, but like, don't worry about it. Take your time.
Mario gets the Flower of Love. The first thing he does with it is shoot fire at Buzzy Beetles, the one enemy that
Thank you.
Their whole thing is that they're vulnerable to fire, and he kills them. And I'm like, is that the only place you could find a use for them? It's very strange.
It just felt like you picked one of the only things that cannot be damaged with fire in this game, including the final like enemy of the game can be killed with fireballs, and you had like it almost seems camp because it's like so wrong. But I did have my like angry nerd on internet moment of being like, what the heck, guys? Like, you can't do this.
It felt like rage bait at a time before rage bait. It reminds me a lot of when I'd watch the Pokemon anime and they just have like Pikachu be good at like, you know, Pikachu beating anything with lightning bolts. And I'm like, that literally can't hit. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe they just weren't thinking that hard. In so many ways, this feels like the people making it really cared about Mario, and then in other ways, you're like, it's just a cartoon for hire. Like,
and well, that happens in an interstitial too. And I would also believe that maybe the interstitials were handled by a different group because they look a little different than the rest of the film.
They do. They also feature the aforementioned moment where Mario and Luigi just eat Mario branded ramen and look at the camera while doing it.
This is what I had. Both the ramen and then later the rice seasoning. I was gagged. I was just gagged and gooped. It was good for you. Good for you.
I still kind of liked these segments because it made, obviously, for some people, maybe this film completely outstayed its welcome, but it made the 50 minutes feel more like a true kind of quest or epic adventure. I'm rattling through this because I want to get to essentially my favorite scene, which is us catching up with how Peach and Koopa are doing in the castle.
Incredible. Okay, yeah, please.
Well, I just think this establishes everything about Peach and Bowser that we know now. Like, this is the version of them from the RPGs, from the Illumination movie, from any moment where we question why like Bowser would be invited to tennis or karting. It's like, we're establishing that he's a stupid animal who loves Peach, but I think more as like, I'm playing pretend being a king and I need a queen. And she doesn't like him, but is understanding that that is where this is coming from. So it's like humoring him.
And we always see her as capable. Like, we always see her as able to express her feelings. Unfortunately, and this will also carry, and I expect that we'll end up having to talk about this a fair bit. She does negotiate essentially the sale of her body to Bowser to save Mario. Peach's worst trait. Until Odyssey, when she's like, I hate both of you. But I sort of love her. I love how sort of this little trick that she plays on Bowser is, I mean, that's Peach. That is Peach today. She's sort of a little trickster god, and I kind of love her.
Yeah, I mean, the subtitles were working overtime to explain what all these like puns coming up on screen were about. But yeah, she does. Again, this establishing Bowser has just like innate magic powers, which is kind of funny. But I think it's interesting that from the off, like, Peach is always, she tries to escape on her own. She isn't just stood there shouting for Mario. Again, we establish in later Mario games that this is just like a routine that they go through. Like, Peach almost just like keeps a change of clothes and a spare toothbrush at Bowser's castle at this point. It's just like, yeah, this is just how it goes. I think we talked on a previous episode though, but like, I do think Bowser kidnapping Peach is a plot line that has quietly like just gone. I think Odyssey is maybe the like finale of that. Because it doesn't happen in the Mario movie. I mean, she always ends up being kidnapped for like a brief period of time, but like everyone does. The main focus of it is always someone else being right. And it's because everyone wants to play as Peach because she's fun.
Yeah, because she's fabulous.
I have a few more notes. We are going to have a whole section at the end of like things this film predicted.
Okay.
But there is a moment of him trying to like get something out of a giant clam, which has become a thing of every like 3D Mario game, but had not been done then. But my next actual note is Ballerina Mario is giving wrestling singlet and I'm into it.
Agreed. Totally agreed. Why did this happen? It does not matter. It is amazing. Mario looked great here. I was very happy about this.
Do you have anything before the like floating ship?
Well, the floating ship was my next note, which was, wow, a ship in a Mario game. Like, this is it. We're going to do this a lot. And then this looked so much like the airships from Mario 3 that I was a little like surprised.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well do it now. I have a kind of list of just things this game kind of introduces. Um, Obviously, this floating ship looks exactly like you said, the Mario
Yeah.
Brothers 3 things. We have the romantic interest and the Bowser of it all. We have in this moment also like the moon briefly gets a pair of eyes and looks just like the kind of moon item from Mario World.
Yes.
We have the clams. Later on in the segment, there's like a bit in Bowser's Castle of like big cogs moving around, which is something that the new Super Mario Brothers games do. We see Peach's Castle. It looks kind of similar to how Peach's Castle ends up looking. We also get in this kind of third act a Magi Koopa, I suppose, of some kind. I know that they're more of a wedding aficionado, but they're a Koopa in a big purple cloak.
Yeah,
with a stick.
exactly. And maracas, maybe. I wasn't quite sure what that was about, but that's great.
Yeah, I think it's a wedding thing. But that's like the big one. And I'm skipping a bit to the end. We can go back in a second, but this is just a segment. Is this dog?
Yes.
Because this Wiggler dog is revealed to be Prince Haru of the Flower Kingdom. Now, have you played Mario Wonder?
I have. And Prince Florian is like a little wiggler.
Yes. And he's the Prince of the Flower Kingdom.
Yes.
And it almost bugs me that they just didn't go the full hog and like bring in the prince. Because I think having a little femme prince would actually do a good job to offsetting the amount of princesses we have. But maybe that's for Mario Wonder too. I don't know.
I would if Prince, I forgot the name of the actual prince because I just wrote Prince Florian in my notes. But if this prince who ends up, spoiler alert, marrying Peach, came back, I would be so happy. Not just as a reference to this, but I think it was a cool character design. I kind of like the idea of a male royal in this world that is not like Prince's dad, or Peach's dad, which I think we've sort of gotten close to a few times. But I just think that it would be kind of nice. And Mario and Luigi have a prince character who shows up a couple times in those RPG games. But do you have something?
Well, no, that Prince and Luigi, everyone ships Luigi with everyone. Like obviously Luigi and Bowser is a big thing, but those games give a lot of evidence to Luigi being like attracted to that prince.
Yeah, well, I was also attracted to that prince. I was like, you go, queen. Take credit for what the Mario Brothers do.
There's a type of prince archetype with like the little bowl cut and the little like tights that I think is perfect for this world. And it's sad that we kind of don't have a proper one who like shows up in Mario Karts and all that stuff.
Yes.
But also speaking of things that foreshadow the future, like the plot of this is that a royal has been turned into a dog by Bowser, which is basically the plot of Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. It makes me think like maybe Shigeru Miyamoto was involved in the writing or like did come in for a meeting and said, hey, I'm thinking of this. I just think it's interesting how much this at times feels like disconnected from the games and at times feels like really entrenched as something that is like this is the first Mario game, like this is what the plot is.
Yeah, you know what it also kind of feels like is it kind of feels like they invited Miyamoto to sit down and help them write it, and he was like, I can't make it, I'll just send you a couple of my journals, you read through them and take what you want out of my brainstorming, because everything's like almost there. There's so much like almost there that's right. Even some of the underwater stuff harkens to like different worlds we'll see underwater, and yet the blooper is kind of wrong. The Cheep Cheeps are right, but then they like explode into millions of Cheep Cheeps. It's sort of, it's right, but it's not quite right. And that also is more endearing, I think.
Yeah, it's almost like this is an adaptation of the appendices of,
exactly.
of the Mario Legendarium. And also, finally, like the big thing is that Mario defeats Bowser by swinging him around several times by the tail, which is like, I couldn't believe my eyes, basically.
Me neither. I was like, it makes sense when you see the tail. Like that's why it works in 64 because it's a 3D environment. But I don't think about Bowser having a tail when he's in pixel form. Sometimes he's riding that like smiling helicopter thing. I don't see the tail as clearly as I see it when I'm in the 3D environment. And so it makes sense that it took till that long. But I too was like jaw on the floor at the final conflict for so many reasons. But one of them was Bowser's eventual end, and then his definitely not dead. They show you him and he has this little white flag. And that also was like, that's Bowser forever. He's immortal, but you can get him to give up with enough punishment.
Yeah. He needs a good telling off.
Yeah, exactly.
In order to talk about all of that stuff, I jumped over a little bit of the end. Is there anything you wish to talk about?
The big thing I want to talk about was using the powers to have this final conflict. I thought, you've done your quest. You've went and collected the mushroom, the fire flower, and the star. Ultimately, they're representations of the power of love, and Mario just like punches Bowser until he gets his tail. I was kind of expecting Mario to get big, throw a fireball, and be invincible. And I don't know if it was an act of restraint that didn't happen or whatever.
It is a bit strange. I think I was expecting a bit of a kaiju fight.
Right, because Bowser's so big at one point in time. Bowser is so big, and he goes to step on Mario, which, spoiler alert for a couple episodes from now, but like Bowser steps on people, and that's important for some of our development as human beings. But Mario doesn't get big, and they don't like wrestle with each other. It was kind of a bummer.
Yeah, and it's actually something that I think the Illumination film does in a nice way, where it actually brings it back to like Mario and Luigi working together. Right. There's no real reason why Mario is just the important one in the story and Luigi's not, but I don't know.
I mean, Luigi's a little important. He has that shovel. He's constantly just coming back into scene by grabbing up. Here is one part that I will say I don't know. There are points in the Illumination film that like the nostalgia hits so hard that I get like a trigger in my emotional core. But at one point in time, we're 2D and Mario is like interacting with the level essentially, and we're playing castle music, and it got me a little bit. I was like, oh my god, like this is the game. That's so cool.
No, I really love that, and I imagined stuff like that. I can just sort of picture being in the theater in like 1986 and hearing like little gasps and sort of fondness. I think we're at a time where you have to use your imagination when playing games, which is like something you don't really do anymore. But I used to spend ages just exploring games and imagining what was just off screen and all that stuff. And this kind of helps. It's why the stuff like the Pokemon anime was so important to like the brand when that came out. One of my only like remaining notes is gay Koopa with a bowl cut makeup. I'm assuming that means
that had to be coded, right? That felt very coded to me in that moment of like, I'm doing your makeup. I'm queer. Like, get used to it.
I like them. Terrible job on Peach. She already looked perfect. Didn't need
truly
didn't need anything
more. No.
But yeah, I think I was amused when the castle collapsed again. I think from Mario World. And like Mario was like remaining on that little like pole. I thought that was kind of amusing. But yeah, I was just so delighted by the design of everything. Basically, every time that Bowser's on screen, I was just smiling because I thought,
of course,
he just looked so adorable, and so like on model enough and off model just enough to be very adorable.
Yeah, some things are wrong, but like the spike cuffs are always right, and it feels weird. But like this is there was a little bit in some of the like stills and some of the promotions for the first game, but like I felt like this established spike cuff Bowser more than almost anything else that was out there, and they did a really good job of making that pop.
Yeah, I mean, we are gonna go back soon to quite a different Bowser design.
Yeah.
So it'll be a while before we see this version again. Yeah. But I think growing up, I didn't realize that they all looked so right in Japanese media. It was just Western media that could never really get it right.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit just about the final kind of ending choice with the prince.
Because
for a lot of people in the comments and reviews, this like really angers them. And I don't know why, but what are your feelings about what happens?
I mean, I like it because I kind of like Mario thinking that he's going to get the girl and not getting the girl. That is, I think, one of my favorite things that shows up in Mario lore. I think that I briefly talked about it earlier, but like Odyssey, one of my favorite moments is Mario and Bowser both like fighting each other for Peach's affection, and her just being like, no, I've got some frequent flyer miles, I'm going on a trip, bye. Yeah. And I love that. I love that not from a Peach empowerment, but just I like Mario should be a little sadder, and not like depressed, but I want him to like not get everything. And I like that he didn't get everything here.
Well, it's just the idea of getting the girl as a reward is bizarre. And I quite like that this kind of 1986 anime knew that in a way. And I think like genuinely in some corners of the fandom, Prince Haru is like one of the most hated characters in all of media because he like gets in the way. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this film is Prince Haru's mission. Like, he is on the mission to rescue Princess Peach. He clearly knows about this prophecy that he needs to find 2 like male twins. Yes. And he does it. They do their job. They thank him. And also I like that Mario is just like, oh, okay, never mind. Like,
time to go home. Time to go home.
Like, he knows. He's like, I work in a grocery store. You know, clearly a princess is not going to marry me. He doesn't seem too like lecherous about it. And I think you know, everyone in this film wants Peach. Bowser goes about it all wrong. You know, he kidnaps her, he forces her. You know, Mario and Bowser are reflections, 2 sides of the same coin. And Mario is not Bowser. He's not going to force it. He's not going to be too sad about it. He's going to respect what Peach wants. And Peach wants a twink.
Haru, yeah.
Like,
I mean, listen, I loved Haru. I also loved Haru's design. I talked about this earlier. I thought when he showed up, I was like, what is happening now? I love that he was the dog the whole time. He is, as you mentioned, the hero of the story. He is the one who precipitates all the action. And so he did earn it. He earned his role in the prophecy. We take this like gem thing that kind of feels like it's Peach's dress design, just not quite right, and make that like a MacGuffin at the end. And I kind of was here for it. I thought it was fine.
Her design, there are some like errors.
Close.
Because like it is a jewel, but when she takes it off, sometimes the blue shape is there anyway.
Yeah.
But again, like because I grew up on stuff like the Super Show and the Mario comics, I'm just like so shocked at seeing a completely modern looking Peach in this like Mario cartoon from the 80s. Like she looks so exactly the Peach in my head.
Yeah.
Wild.
It's wild. But I loved the little ending. I did like before the dog reveal that Peach is like, oh, I'm supposed to marry someone with a gem, and Mario's like, okay, I'm gonna go get a gem.
yeah. And then we get a little scene at the end that has all kinds of implications. What do you think's happening?
I have no idea what's happening, but the little old lady from the beginning comes back into the store to buy more ingredients to make more baked goods. And we hear like, right away, ma'am. And then it cuts inside and it's Bowser and his minions who are tending the store. And then she's just sort of like, she's like happy that they're there and then that it's game over. End of the film. I didn't see this coming. I do think that maybe something that we will continue to keep an eye on is that like Bowser's fate is sort of told at the end of stories, and it is sort of a harmless but like he's still there and okay situation. Like I think there is enough empathy in the world for Bowser that people who deal with his story have to make sure that you know that he's okay.
It's one of these things where I think they maybe just didn't mean to design him this cute, but then you can't look at him and want him, you don't want to see him like fall into lava and die,
right?
he's just naughty.
Yeah, he just needs a timeout. He just needs
And
to
like
chill.
again, established in this, he is kind and beloved by his minions. Like he's not a typical villain who's like, oh, enough, and throwing them in lava or whatever.
Right.
He's just like, they're all there in the store with him. I think the implication I was confused by was like, are Mario and Luigi, did they hire him? Or like what? Did they take over?
I didn't even think about that. They're outsourcing the work to the Mushroom Kingdom now.
So, as we come to the end of this, I ask at the end of every episode, was this a good adaptation and was this fun in its own right? But I kind of get the feeling I know your answer.
Yeah, you probably guessed yes to both questions, and the answer for me is yes to both. I felt like if you gave me the instruction manual to Super Mario Brothers, this would be the movie I make, because like all the details are there of what enemies, except for you messed up the Buzzy Bells, but whatever, or the Buzzy Beetles, but everything else was there. We were playing with it. It was a lot of good fun. I kind of was down for this. I thought it was funny. I think people who are fans should check it out. So I had fun, and I think it was a good adaptation of the first game. I don't know that watching this would have made me want to play Mario 2, but I did kind of want to play Mario 1 after watching this. So it worked on that level. What about you, Hamish? Did this work for you on an adaptation level, and did you have fun watching it?
Yeah, I agree. And also it's just, it's an hour long and free on YouTube. Like,
yes.
I can't really complain. I like kind of retro anime anyway, so to exist in that world was very delightful. It did make me want to play a bit of Mario 2, because I'm like, it can't be that hard, surely.
Pretty hard. It's pretty hard.
But it's pretty hard. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Well, that's Super Mario Brothers, The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach. I'm not even going to call it a movie. It is cinema. It is film. I love it. I possibly won't ever watch it again, but it's the kind of thing that, like, it is your mission as a Mario fan to put it on, even if it's in the background while doing something else.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful to look at.
Well, and again, big shout out to the folks who helped do restoration on this. Even if your name has been co-opted by other search terms and lost to time, I think that this was brought back to us with love. I did see a couple of captures in my limited background research of like what the VHS rip looked like before the restoration, and wow, watching this does really just show you how much love went into this, and it's so cool.
Yeah, and like proper restoration, not just like AI upscaling or anything. No. You can actually follow the Kaneko video group on Blue Sky, and they are doing this for all kinds of old anime and stuff. And even if you're not watching all of this stuff, they post regularly and just really beautiful screen caps from whatever they're working on. I think the last thing I saw on that page was like a Doraemon thing.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah. That's it for this week. It's been a long one, but this was our first Mario movie, the first video game movie ever made, kind of. Next week we'll be covering the Amada anime series Super Mario Brothers. We are back in the world of anime, but for a slightly surreal OVA. Where can people find you, David?
You can find me online almost anywhere as Dmuma. That's DMUMA. I host a couple other podcasts. One with my friends Marilee and Tyler, where we're looking at horror media called Fear Coded, and then one with the aforementioned Derek, where we talk about weird and high concept episodes of television called Gimmicks. Hamish, what about you?
This is my only podcast, but I've been a guest on so many Glitterjaw episodes. If you want to hear more of my chatting about my special interests, I can be found anywhere at Hamish Steele. Blue Sky, Instagram are where I mostly am. I have a book out called Go Man, Champion of Earth, Volume 1. Volume 2 comes out this summer. Big fun times if you love kaiju and brightly colored animation, as I'm sure you do if you're listening to a Mario podcast. I am also on Patreon if you want to give me money. It helps. This theater we rent out to film this is not free. And yeah, we'll be back next week. Mario Moment is a proud member of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcasting Collective. You can follow them at Glitterjaw at Blue Sky and Instagram, and at glitterjaw.com, where there's also lots of interesting resources and content. We have a whole page about topics that are important to us, places where you can support and try and make the world a better place. Obviously, it's a rough time at the moment for lots of people. And yeah, that's us. Until next time.
I say so long, Gabe Hausers.